Welcome to Communicate to Lead, the podcast that empowers leaders and aspiring leaders to communicate with clarity and impact. I'm Keely Belton, CEO and successful entrepreneur, and your host for today. I'm here to equip you with all the essential tools and strategies to master effective communication and lead your team to success. As the founder and CEO of The Tailored Approach, my goal is to empower you to be the best leader you can be. So sit back, relax, and join me in today's episode as we dive into the art of communicating like a true leader. Legacy is not what you leave behind, but rather what you weave into the lives of others. This powerful insight from civil rights leader Dorothy Height perfectly captures what we're exploring today: how your unique leadership gifts can create ripples of change that extend far beyond your career. Welcome back to Communicate to Lead. This is Keely, and today we're talking about something that lights me up: designing your leadership legacy. Not the kind that's written on a plaque, but the kind that transforms organizations and inspires the next generation of leaders. Here is what's in store for you today. We'll uncover the unique leadership gifts you might not even realize you possess. We'll discover how to create a vision that pulls you forward instead of pushing you to prove yourself. I'll guide you through my leadership legacy map exercise that's transformed how my clients see their future impact. And finally, my favorite part, you'll learn how to turn your vision into reality through daily leadership choices. Whether you're commuting, working out, or taking a strategic thinking break, get ready to see your leadership potential in a whole new light. When I think about true legacy leadership, one of the many women who opened my eyes to what leadership legacy truly means is Ursula Burns, who didn't just become the first Black woman CEO of a Fortune 500 company. She completely redefined what legacy leadership looks like. Flashback to 2009. Burns is stepping into the CEO role at Xerox. She started there as a mechanical engineering intern in 1980. Yep, you heard that right, in 1980. And now she's taking the helm. But here's what's fascinating. She wasn't inheriting a thriving company. Xerox in 2007 was struggling to stay relevant in a digital world, with its stock price plummeting and its future uncertain. The easy path could have been cost-cutting, maintaining the status quo, or selling off parts of the company. But Burns saw something different. Her vision went far beyond the next quarter's results. Instead of trying to simply save Xerox, she decided to transform it. Under her leadership, Xerox evolved from being a copying company into an $18 billion technology and services enterprise. But here's what makes her story truly remarkable. She did it her way. Burns became known for something unusual in corporate America: radical candor and authenticity. She would say things like, "Where others see problems, I see opportunities. I was taught not to only meet expectations, but to exceed them." She made it okay for leaders to be boldly authentic and speak their truth. But what fascinates me the most about Burns' story is how she viewed her responsibility as a leader. She often says, dreams do come true, but not without the help of others, a good education, a strong work ethic, and the courage to lean in. So she didn't merely focus on business metrics. She created a multi-million-dollar STEM scholarship program for minority students. She transformed Xerox's leadership pipeline to include more diverse voices. She spoke openly about being a woman of color in leadership, making the path clearer for those following behind her. And lastly, she mentored countless emerging leaders, especially women and minorities. But here's the game-changing lesson from Burns' story. She didn't wait until she reached the C-suite to start building her legacy. At every level of her career, she was known for three things: speaking truth to power, even when it was uncomfortable; lifting others as she climbed; and lastly, seeing possibilities where others saw problems. When she's asked about leadership, Burns said something profound: the best way to change something is to do it. When you do it, it becomes easier, and you begin to see all the opportunities that you can make a difference. Think about that for a moment. She wasn't waiting for permission or the perfect title. She was actively seeking and creating opportunities to drive change, to make a difference, to leave a legacy and make an impact. So this brings us to you and your unique leadership gifts. And if you think you don't have any particular unique strengths, I'm about to call you on it, because you, my friend, you do. Your leadership gifts go far beyond the obvious ones. They might be hiding in plain sight, masquerading as everyday behaviors that come so naturally to you that you might not even recognize them as special. Let me share a story about a client of mine, Melissa. She was leading a tech team and constantly downplayed what she called her tendency to ask too many questions. Whenever someone was presenting or someone was sharing an idea or they were strategizing, she would ask a ton of questions. And she kept downplaying that. But those questions revealed critical project risks that others missed completely. What she saw as a potential weakness became her remarkable gift for risk assessment and strategic thinking. Here's what I want you to understand about leadership gifts. First, they are often disguised as things you do effortlessly, so naturally that you think anyone could do it. Second, they show up in moments when you're doing focused work and others naturally turn to you for guidance. Third, they are revealed in the consistent feedback you receive, even if you've been brushing it off because you think it's nothing at all. Here's a powerful reframe for you right now. Think about that moment when you instinctively knew how to navigate a sensitive team situation. That, my friend, is emotional intelligence evolved into relational wisdom, the exact capacity senior leaders need to guide organizations through change. Here's something else to think about. The way you naturally spot connections others miss. That's analytical thinking transformed into strategic insight, the vision that shapes company direction. And lastly, if you have the ability to make complex information clear and actionable, that, my friend, is communication elevator to vision translation, which is the catalyst that moves organizations forward. Years ago, Amanda told me, the things that come most naturally to you are your greatest gifts to others. Let that sink in for a moment. So what comes naturally to you? Those are the gifts that you can offer others. The very things you might be taking for granted might be precisely what your organization, your team needs at the senior leadership level. Here are 3 ways to start recognizing your leadership gifts. 1, notice your energy patterns. 2, listen to consistent feedback. And 3, track your success patterns. Let's circle back to number 1. Notice your energy patterns. When do you lose track of time because you're so engaged? What problems do you solve with unusual ease? Which conversations energize you instead of drain you? That is all part of noticing your energy patterns. Moving on to number 2, listening to consistent feedback. Think about, what do people consistently thank you for? What kind of advice do colleagues regularly ask from you? And what role do you naturally fall into project teams? When you are working on a project, what role do you take up without even thinking about it? That's number 2. Number 3, when you are tracking your success patterns, what types of challenges do you instinctively know how to handle? Where do you often see solutions that others might miss? And lastly, what part of your work feels like second nature? These 3 questions are your roadmap to uncovering your unique leadership gifts. And when you step into senior leadership, these gifts can become catalysts that transform entire organizations and entire teams. So don't take this for granted. And to ensure that you don't do that, let's do a quick and helpful exercise together to uncover your gifts or to dig a little deeper. And if you're driving, absorb the questions and come back to your answers later. If you can, grab your phone, grab a journal, grab a piece of paper. You want to make sure that you write this down. Okay, I invite you to focus on this exercise for a few quiet moments. The following questions might seem pretty simple, but they could reveal something remarkable about your leadership potential. First question, what do people thank you for, even when it feels effortless to you? Here's what you can think about. The colleague who always comes to you to talk through complex problems. That project everyone said you made look easy. The situations where others say, I don't know how you do that, but thank you so much. What does that look like? Just let it all flow. What do people thank you for? What do they say you make look easy? And here's your second question. In what situations do you lose track of time because you're so energized by what you're doing? Consider the tasks that make you forget to check your phone, notifications, or answer the door. The types of meetings where you feel most alive, or the work that leaves you energized rather than drained. The work that you look forward to do every single day. And here's your third question. What patterns do you notice that others often miss? Reflect on times you've predicted project challenges before they even emerged. Connections you've made that surprised others. Situations where you saw possibilities others overlooked. Maybe you are good at making connections or connecting people. Perhaps you are comfortable speaking in front of others and you know how to gain buy-in without even thinking about it. As you reflect on these questions, pay attention to how your body feels, how your body responds. Do you feel a flutter of excitement, a sense of recognition? That's your inner wisdom confirming these gifts. Here's what makes this exercise so actionable and why I like it, why I do it with my own clients. We are not looking for extraordinary moments. We are uncovering the extraordinary in what you might consider ordinary. These patterns, these moments of flow, these natural inclinations, they are the foundations of your unique leadership legacy. So now go back to the 3 questions that you answered. Take a moment to circle or highlight any answers that surprised you or made you think, that's interesting. Those are often your powerful gifts, the ones you've been taking for granted. And if I may challenge you a little further, have a conversation with someone you trust, whether it's your best friend, whether it's a colleague, whether it's your partner. Take what you have written down, have a conversation with them, ask them those questions. What do they think about you when they hear the questions? And see if you come up with the same information, if you uncover the same strengths that they do. Okay, next up, let's explore how these gifts shape your leadership vision, because ultimately that's the key part of it. Once you know your gifts, you know your strengths, this will help you shape your leadership vision. The leadership landscape is evolving rapidly. I know it, you know it, it's especially happening faster than ever in 2025. And your authentic style is exactly what your team and your organization needs today. Let me show you how to amplify your gifts at the senior level, because successful senior leaders create meaningful impact in 3 ways. Each of these approaches leverages the natural gifts we uncovered earlier. First, they shape culture through daily choices. And think of culture as a garden. It grows through consistent care, not occasional grand gestures. Let me share what this would look like in action. One of my clients, Maria, transformed her division's culture with a single powerful question at the start of every meeting. So that means every single meeting they have, whether it was every day, once a month, once a week, the question she would ask is, what impact are we creating for our people? This question shifted how her team made decisions. They moved from focusing solely on metrics to considering the human impact of every choice. And this transformation was wonderful to watch. Team members began bringing up potential implications for their people before making decisions. They became people-centric. This shift in perspective created a more engaged, collaborative environment where people felt valued and heard. So that's number 1. Number 2, successful leaders build bridges across silos and hierarchies. Because senior leadership isn't about managing your area excellently. It's about orchestrating collaboration across organizations. So if you are only stuck on managing your team or your department, you are not dreaming big enough. You are not thinking about building bridges and creating a bigger legacy. So if you want to build bridges across silos and hierarchies, here's what this can look like. Identifying opportunities for cross-functional projects, creating informal channels for information sharing, And lastly, breaking down the us versus them mentality between departments and creating one unified team. The most successful senior leaders I work with spend at least 30% of their time outside their immediate area of responsibility. They attend meetings in other divisions, have coffee with peers from different departments, and they actively seek perspectives different from their own. That's number 2. Number 3, what leaders do, they create space for new voices and perspectives, and that is so needed today more than ever before. As we see the challenges, the obstacles that are put in front of DEI initiatives, we have to remember that when we create space for new voices and perspectives, it goes beyond basic inclusion. It's about actively seeking and amplifying diverse viewpoints to drive innovation. Here's what makes this approach transformative. Every team member feels empowered to contribute ideas. Innovation emerges from unexpected places. And finally, the organization becomes more adaptable to change. When we think bigger than ourselves, we succeed so much faster and so much more. So consider how powerful it is when leaders intentionally create spaces for different voices to be heard. This might involve inviting team members from various levels to share insights during strategic planning or ensuring that decision-making processes include perspectives from across the organization. When leaders make this a priority, they unlock solutions and possibilities that might otherwise have remained hidden. So if you want your organization to have a larger impact, if you want to leave a bigger legacy, you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone and to do more, to make it a priority to invite other voices into the conversation. So there you have it. We have 3. The first one was successful leaders shape culture through daily choices. They build bridges across silos and hierarchies. They create space for new voices and perspectives. These 3 approaches share a common thread. They are not about grand gestures or dramatic changes. They are about consistent, intentional actions that create ripple effects throughout the organization. And here's the lesson you can take with you. If you remember nothing else from our episode today, here's what you can take with you today. You don't need to wait for a senior leadership title to start practicing these behaviors. Every interaction, every meeting, every decision that you make is an opportunity to demonstrate your senior leadership presence. Okay, let's explore how to create your leadership legacy map, combining these approaches with your unique gifts. So you have your gifts on the one hand, and then you have these approaches, and that helps you create your leadership legacy map. The reason why I love the leadership legacy map is because my clients say it helps them see their future impact in a bigger way. So if you can, find a quiet place to reflect. Take a deep breath and another, and imagine it's 3 years from now. You are receiving a leadership award, and your colleagues are sharing testimonials about your influence. What are they saying? What specific moments and actions are they remembering or highlighting? What difference have you made in their professional lives? What changes in the organization trace back to your vision? Let's map this out in 3 circles. Draw an inner circle, and in the inner circle, think about what daily leadership behaviors are creating ripple effects. Then draw a middle circle that encompasses the inner circle. What team or organizational changes are you championing? What can you pinpoint specifically and say, yes, this is what I'm championing? And lastly, draw an outer circle. What broader impact are you having on your industry or your community? So there you have it. Your inner circle, what daily leadership behaviors are creating ripple effects. Your middle circle, what team or organizational changes are you championing? And your outer circle, what broader impact are you having on your industry or community? Now it's time to use the 3-2-1 framework to think about your legacy. Write down 3 specific actions that define your leadership style. Next up, write 2 changes you are championing in your organization. And lastly, write down 1 bigger impact you want to have on your industry or your community. So 3 specific actions, 2 changes you want to champion, and 1 bigger impact you want to have. This isn't merely a planning exercise. It's your leadership legacy in motion. You have 3, 2, 1. Isn't that amazing? Now you get to see and look at that. And if you need more time to really think about what are the 3 actions you want to have, what are the 2 changes you want to champion, what bigger impact you want to have, take the time to do it. If you're going on a walk, think about that. Have conversations with people around you. Have conversations with your mentor, your team, people you trust, and really determine what is your legacy. Because when you are clear in terms of the legacy you want to have, it'll be so much easier to achieve it. And I wish that for you. As we wrap up today's episode, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for doing these exercises with me, and well done on getting started on your leadership legacy and determining where you want to go. Remember that your leadership legacy doesn't start when you reach the C-suite. It's being written right now in every decision you make, every person you mentor, and every change you champion. So do it now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Do it scared. Simply go for it. Okay, next week, I'll share details about an opportunity I'll be hosting in early March to celebrate Women's History Month in the US. So be sure not to miss next week's podcast episode. But here's what I want you to know. If you don't want to wait until next week's podcast episode to hear more about it, I have opened up a few spots for free leadership clarity calls this week. We'll map out your leadership legacy and identify your next power moves. You don't have to wait till next week. You can grab the schedule link. It's in the show notes, and you can also find it on my LinkedIn profile. These spots fill up really quickly, so don't wait to claim yours. It's a 20-minute call, absolutely free. You walk away having clarity on what your legacy should be or what you want it to be, and you identify your next power moves. But before I let you go, I'd love to hear your vision. Share one aspect of your leadership legacy on LinkedIn and tag me. Your story might be exactly what another leader needs to hear today. And remember, you're not merely building a career, you're crafting an impactful legacy. And that legacy starts with choosing to step fully into your leadership power. And you are so ready for it. Until next week, my friend, this is Keely, reminding you that great communication is the foundation of inspiring leadership. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember to communicate to lead.